Welcome back to Morning Express, and it's time for Person of Interest. And this morning, our person of interest is a mother, entrepreneur, politician, not afraid to speak her mind, philanthropist. I could go on and on and on. It's one who is very familiar to many of us in Kenya, and it is none other than Esther Passaris. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good drive coming this way at this time in the morning.
Actually, it was fantastic. The highway was mine. I ruled it. There was no cars. I left home at about 10 to 6, so it was like cruising all the way. Fantastic.
What sort of driver are you? Are you a fast driver?
I drive like a man. I mean, that's what everybody, my children say, Mom, you drive like a man. I'm a very, touch wood, never had an accident, but I'm a very, very strong driver. I mean, I command the road, I hold the wheel, the steering wheel, and I go.
Do you think that's because of your personality? Are you strong-willed generally?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, everybody says I'm a go-getter, so yeah, I guess so. I mean, I drive with a lot of confidence, and you've got to. When you're commanding that, holding that steering wheel, you've got to have confidence. You've got to know what you're doing. I would never drive in the UK. Because I'm not confident that I can do everything their way.
There are rules and regulations.
I know, it's almost the same as here. But I mean, here, it's you kind of learn how to drive expecting everything to go wrong. There, it's too orderly, you know. I've actually never dared to drive in the UK. No, I actually, whenever I go there, I tell my friend, no way, you drive. Yeah.
Or you find it too orderly for you to manage? Are you so used to disorder then?
I mean, I think in Africa, you kind of learn to drive with disorder, you know? So you're always waiting at something to come your way. And whenever, in the UK, you drive with a lot of signs, a lot of maps. And for me, maps and signs don't work that well. You know, being dyslexic and ADHD, I can't. And in fact, when you use the GPRS, I'm always worried about following that instruction versus visual. So I try very hard to avoid driving in a place where I don't feel confident.
Okay.
No.
Now, you've mentioned two things there, ADHD and dyslexic. How have you managed to achieve so much in your life, whereas one might have looked at, especially dyslexia, as a disadvantage per se?
I think it is a disadvantage when it comes to academic learning, all right? Because we read. We have a terrible, I mean, my handwriting, it's terrible. I cannot read my own handwriting. Because the thing is, it is, believe you me. The thing is, we think faster than we can write. So you find that sometimes you'll miss certain adjectives. We miss them automatically. And I didn't realize all this until after I had my children. And then I started realizing, because they were in the schools in the UK. In Kenya, they had a lot of challenges. But in the UK, they kind of nailed it. And they said, okay, they have these learning disabilities, and they need this kind of assistance. They need extra time for exams. Now, unfortunately, in Kenya, you didn't have that. I was very bright. All right, in terms of school, in classroom, put me to talk. In fact, I always talk to my professor at the USIU for entrepreneurship, Scott, and he goes, you get it right when you're in class and you contribute. But then when it comes to putting it all down in writing, it's a bit difficult. But I can go through a paper, I can tell you what I want, and when you put it together, I know I can look at a document prepared by somebody with a PhD and I can fault it, but I cannot put it together myself. But I can tell the person, this is what I need. So basically, I was born to lead.
Would you put that down to the education system that we have that limits or puts us in a box in terms of academics, and you're only viewed as bright if you can do certain things in a certain way?
I think we're changing. I think today we're looking at people and saying, you need to have the grades. But, you know, when my son did his IGCSEs recently, and the night or week before, he was like, Mommy, I'm so worried, what if? And I looked at him and I said, you know, your examination, and you're going to have many, this is your first one, all right? You're going to have so many examinations, and none of them determine who you are and what you're going to be, all right? That's just one building block. Life is so many building blocks. So you've got your academics, all right? And you can be, I mean, like Richard Branson, he could never, ever get it right in terms of academics. And most people who are successful today can't, because you can't confine them in a box. They want that freedom to be able to expand their thoughts, expand their output. And you can't do that if you're confined to academics. Though I do respect, I respect anybody whose name has Dr. So-and-so, because I know that they're learned, they've put time and effort in it, but that's them, For me, having a doctor before my name, that's not going to happen, unless it's honorary rather than academic. Okay. Because I'm not that kind of person who will sit down and learn.
Right, let's look at where you're coming from and maybe just run us through these pictures.
Okay, that was during my modeling career. I used to model. I was Miss Kenya runner-up in 99, I think. No, 91, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. 91, 92, somewhere around there in the early 90s. Yeah.
Okay, and why didn't you pursue your modeling career?
I think there's a phase in life that you go through. And when I went for the Miss World contest, that was it. I got to the Miss Kenya runner-up, and you have to move on.
Yeah, you had to move on from them. Okay, where was this?
This was, funny enough, it was during the launch of the Miss Kenya for this year with Terry Mugai, at Kempinski, I think it was,
Okay. Yeah. And looking at your life, you basically wanted at one time to be a lawyer as you were growing up, and I know you're still pursuing that dream in terms of the education and you're still going to school. Do you ever see yourself in a courtroom as a lawyer? I know you've been to courts very many times.
I definitely see myself in the courtroom as a lawyer. I think that's going to be the thrill of my, before my retirement. I want to tell anybody that if you have a burning desire to be something, don't let go no matter what. I let go the idea of being a lawyer because of my moral standing that, you can't defend the guilty, and that was, for me, the wrong. I was a pen friend to Georgiadis. He was a criminal lawyer, Greek, when I was very young. And he was defending a few people that I knew were guilty, and it annoyed me, and I kind of moved away from that career. But right now, I want to be a lawyer. I am studying. I've just got my diploma in law from University of London. I should graduate in 2018 for university with an LLB. And I see myself in the courtroom. I'm going to go the full hog. Yeah.
At 52, why do you want to start a career now that maybe you could be successful? As an entrepreneur, you've already done quite a lot. Why would you want to do that? Is it just pursuing a childhood dream?
It's not just a childhood dream. I think there is room for very good lawyers. And I would love to be part of or own a legal firm where we actually serve clients. I've had a lot of nasty experiences with lawyers, and there are a few very good lawyers. You've got to go through this process of, removing the bad ones and, finding the good ones. And I think every Kenyan is challenged when it comes to finding a lawyer and a good lawyer. And I'd love to be able to provide that service. And I'd love to be in that courtroom on the other side, defending somebody, if not myself, a client, rather than being defended. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you grew up in Mombasa, then moved to Nairobi at some point. What is it that made you move from Mombasa? Mombasa is a beautiful place.
Mombasa's slow. It's
too slow for you?
Yeah, it was too slow. I came up to Nairobi, career prospects. I was working for Nyali Beach Hotel. I'd reached the pinnacle. At that time, women were not going ahead in terms of hotel management. You could only reach front office or food and beverage. And I wanted to be more, so I moved up to Nairobi. And then also, in Mombasa, the way we were raised up, there was no way I could even go to my mom and dad and say, oh, I'm moving out. It was not, today is a bit more liberal. I think I see a position where my daughter will come and say, Mom, I'm moving out. But I couldn't do that. So the only way, I guess, to move out of home was to move out of the city. Move to Nairobi, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what brought you to Nairobi? Were you coming to pursue
I was coming to work. I was coming to work for the Horseman, and also to just something different, I'd come to Nairobi for a weekend as a tourist. Okay. It was funny. It was as a tourist. I flew in, stayed at the Hilton for 2 nights, and then flew back. And I kind of liked it. Yeah, I liked the pace at that time. Yeah.
All right. So how would you describe yourself as a mother? Now that you're in the public limelight, you've been to court for many reasons. There are some who describe you. I was looking at somebody describing you, and they say that you're feisty. How do you describe yourself as a mother?
As a mother, I think, first of all, I'm a friend. to my children. I think it's very important in today's world to be a friend to your children. They've got to feel that they can come to you at any time and talk to you. You can't be so strict that the kids get into trouble, and they will get into trouble, and then you are the last person that they'll talk to. So I want to be a friend to my children. I want to know that they can tell me anything, and I will not judge them. I will be there for them.
But doesn't every parent feel like that? That's what they do. But you know children.
No,
and
they
you know
are.
As you are growing up, there are things that your parents would think you're not doing, but you are doing. So maybe there's that chance that they actually don't tell you.
I think my son's a bit more reserved than my daughter. But I feel I've kind of made them feel that they can talk to me about anything. Though I've noticed that my son's a bit more reserved, so that's for his father to work on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's a boy thing, so I have to give him his space so that he doesn't feel like mummy's overbearing. But for my daughter, we have this relationship where she tells me everything. We talk. But I'm also very strict. Very strict, yeah.
So how do you manage the two? Because I understand that you can choose to be a parent or to be a friend. And the reason for that is because sometimes it confuses children when they think, are you my friend or are you my parent? At what point do you draw the line?
No, I think you draw the line from the very beginning. When it's wrong, it's wrong. When it's right, it's right. And then whatever the case, you can talk to me, you know. And I think every relationship is different. As I said, I have a hard time reaching out to my son and being able to understand what is he thinking, what is he planning. He's very reserved, you know, but my daughter is very open. So again, it depends on the personality of the child. But I think as a parent, it's important that your child knows that you might get angry that they did this or they did that, but they feel free to come and talk to you. And I've had situations where my daughter comes in and says, Mom, my girlfriend has a problem, can she talk to you? Because she feels that I will be able to talk to them and advise them. And at some point, I would actually tell them, okay, you need to go and talk to your mom. Now, if you can't talk to your mom on your own, I'll come with you, but this is something you need to tell your mom. So I kind of mentor around her friends, and they always feel, oh, you're so cool. But you know, sometimes, even if you're not cool, even if you're scrunching from inside, like, my goodness, what's going on? You have to pretend that you're cool so that you can get them to open out and feel confident to tell you this is the problem. And the children of today have a lot of problems, from drugs, from alcohol, from being sexually abused at a very early age by their own friends. So you've got to give them those tips. And you know, at what age do you start talking to children about sex, about good touch, bad touch? You know, right now in Kenya, we cannot pretend to be conservative, and these are not things that we talk because they're taboo. You've got the social media. You don't want the internet teaching your children. You've got to be the first point of contact in terms of knowledge on the world and the world affairs and world social happenings.
Have you talked to your children about, you know, things like sex and
everything?
You've talked to
everything.
At what age did you address that? Because I know many parents find it very difficult because there is always that feeling on the inside that, oh, this is taboo, and how do I talk to my child about this?
I know most men feel it's taboo, and I'm even having a hard time every time I talk to my husband and I say, you know, our son is 16. It's time for you to start talking to him about sex, about condoms, about women, you know. And he says, yeah, I'll do it. But I've realized that he's taking too long to do it. So what happened, my son was circumcised in the Kikuyu traditional way. And my brother was his, they call him Muturi.
The one who literally stands for him.
And my brother's in the UK. So I'm going to try and find a way to get my brother, who's pretty cool, to spend some time with my son and talk to him. But then you notice that boys will become a bit more shy and say, I know, or don't tell me. But he needs to have those conversations because it's important that you have those conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Now, on the description that I introduced you with is one of them is that you're not afraid of controversy. And this sometimes is because you're brutally honest.
Terribly honest.
Terribly honest. In fact, the word is brutal. What's the worst trouble that your honesty has gotten you into?
I wouldn't even call it trouble, my honesty. I don't know.
Or has it gotten you into trouble? Maybe not.
No, I think when you're honest, right, you can defend anything that you say, all right? I wouldn't say it got me into trouble, but I think a lot of people do not like honesty They like things that are camouflage. They want you to live in this pretense world of perfection. You know, I've been very vocal and honest about my relationship. Okay, I'm in a polygamous setup, and it's not something that I'm proud of, but neither is it something that I'm ashamed of. You kind of learn to balance the two. This is the situation that I'm in, and I've got to accept that this is the situation that I'm in, you know. And it's difficult because then you get a lot of people judging you. But, you know, I've come to the point in my life where I say only God can judge me, all right? So long as I'm not breaking the law, then nobody can judge me. And your opinion about me is your opinion. It doesn't bother me. So long as I am living within the law and within the morals that I myself know I can sustain. You see, the thing is, we are so quick to judge people and make it look like we're perfect, you know, but even Jesus recognized that we're imperfect, you know. So I look at life and I say, you know what, there are things that I've done that I'm not proud of. There are situations that I find myself in that I cannot change. So what do I do with this? I learn to live with it.
And you confront and face them.
The thing is, I don't even have to face them. You just, you know, I don't owe anyone an explanation. But being a public figure, you find that these conversations come out all the time, you know. But I don't feel that, I think there's a point where you draw the line and you say, you know, I'm not going to answer that, or it's not important. But I don't want to be two-faced. This is my life, and this is my facts, and this is how I'm going to deal with it. I'm not going to pretend that it's not my life.
It's not them.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at your political ambition, because, of course, that has brought you back into the limelight. You were quiet, but it has brought you back now as you're seeking the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. First of all, why Nairobi?
Well, I've lived in Nairobi for the last 25 years, and I live here. This is my
home.
My home. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Mombasa, but this is where I live. This is where I trade. This is where I do business. This is where I believe I'll retire. You know, in terms of my home, and this is the capital city. This is where it all happens. If we get it right in Nairobi, we'll get it right in the whole country.
Do you really think you stand a chance in Nairobi?
I think I stand an amazing chance. And that's probably the reason why they're not registering my political party, because there's no reason in law why they shouldn't register Harambee Democratic Party, you know. And I've sought advice from very, very senior lawyers. And it's a shame.
But they rejected it
yesterday.
Just recently.
Yes, and I will go to the Court of Appeal. But the chances are I will be running as an independent. But I have thrown the challenge to all my fans and Kenyans on Twitter, give me a name. It's a bit too late to try and get a name and popularize a name and then also campaign for myself. So the chances are I will run as an independent, but if there is a name, I will build the name. But I really want the name Harambee.
Why do you want it so bad to a point where you've delayed now getting other things, you know, fighting it legally?
I know, it's crazy. Harambee for me means pulling together, doing something as one. And I feel that we need to ignite that Harambee spirit that our leaders have lost. We don't have that spirit amongst us anymore. We need that spirit as Kenyans. I want us to pull together for what is good, you know. And you know, when Nyerere said we were a man-eat-man society, we see that we're at each other's throats, you know, even politically. I mean, for me, opposition, I saw something that Barack said to Trump, it's time for you to reach out. This was a very, very competitive election, right? America is split into two equal halves. You've got to reach out. The onus is on you to reach out. And this is where I think the Jubilee government failed. We've been continuously fighting, you know, or resisting to embrace the opposition leaders and listen to them. Every time the opposition leader says something, instead of actually saying, come, let's dialogue, let's fix this, all right? Because the country is one, you know? But here we seem to be at each other's throats rather than focusing on, these are the issues. We can't politic 5 years. You have the elections and you're still politicking throughout the term. And I feel that the opposition is so important in any country. All right, because that's what gives you checks and balances.
So why not join the opposition as you have your quest for gubernatorial seat?
And this is why I want Harambee Democratic Party, because Kenya is divided into tribes and into tribal groupings. All right, so you've got, here you've got the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus and a few others. Here you've got the Luos and the Kambas. and the Luyas, hopefully if Musalia goes with the Super Alliance. But this is it. I don't want to be in a party where you don't think Kenya, you think tribe. You know, when you think ODM, it's Luo. When you think, I had a meeting with Kalonzo Musyoka to join Wiper. I said, again, I see Kamba. When you think of Amani, you think Luya. I don't want that. I want one party that from the beginning doesn't show tribe. And that's why I'm actually working to drop my Kikuyu name. I'm going to just be Esther Passaris. And I think it's sad that I have to feel the need to do that because I don't want to be Kikuyu. I want to be Kenyan.
And that is true, Esther, but the truth of the matter is when you look at politics, it's about numbers. It's about garnering people. And as much as it's unfortunate that Kenya's numbers are probably built around tribes, if you're to make it as governor of Nairobi, you still need the numbers. How do you expect or how do you intend to garner or roll up those numbers if you're not in one of, you know?
Okay, I mean, the thing is, if I absolutely need a tribe, then my tribe is women. Okay, that's the tribe I choose, women. And every time I go out there, I say, Chagua Mama Inua Maisha. For me, the men come and say, vote for us. The women dance around them, all right? And then the women have so many issues that the men don't articulate. We can't even get the gender bill out, okay? So for me, I feel that we're going to give the president to a man. There's no woman there. We're going to give the deputy president to a man. Why should they shove down another man for the governor of Nairobi? I think the governor of Nairobi should be a woman, all right? So show us that, you know, the 3 top positions in this country, 2 taken by men, 1 taken by a woman. I hope to be that woman. I don't see Jubilee giving Bishop Wanjiru the ticket, all right? And Jubilee, I mean, I was looking at them yesterday saying they don't want Peter Kenneth, you know, and they don't want Eugene Wamalwa. They want just the 4 of them. That is not democracy. What are you scared of? I mean, sitting down together in a table and trying to block any other person coming into Jubilee because you feel that we are the ones that have been there? Excuse me. First of all, you don't even know if you're going to be around in 2017. That's number 1, okay? That's God-given, all right? Life. Number 2, for you to stop someone else, that means you're not willing to compete. You're not even confident in yourself that you need to create this cocoon. It's one of the 4. I mean, what is this, the 4 Musketeers? Give me a break. I mean,
all right, Esther, now, looking at the gubernatorial seat in Nairobi, there's several things that Nairobians probably suffer with every single day. And I want to put this question to you, just to get your vision of Nairobi. And let's start with simple things that Nairobi has not been able to deal with. Number 1, traffic.
Traffic, okay, traffic.
What would you do with traffic?
Okay, I think, and I don't even want to wait until 2017, I intend to take the traffic commandant round. I mean, every single day I'm stuck on University Way roundabout. And then the road leading down is empty. I don't know if you've noticed that. So there's certain places where Nairobi congests, and you see that, all right? And I feel that we need to be bold. I think there's certain roads that need to be redone or reworked. We seem to have a problem. When we open all these bypasses, I see a change. There's a day I took from Kitisuru all the way to Mombasa Road. It took me 20 minutes. I used the southern bypass. So I think there is a way that the bypasses will ease the traffic. But for right now, the congestion, I mean, Kidero putting the drums on the Westlands roundabout, that was a good idea. All right.
It worked on some roundabouts, the others it didn't.
Yeah, but the problem is it worked on some highways, but some highways are very dangerous. When you're coming out of Brookside and you're trying to connect into Wayaki Way to get back on James Gishuru going towards Kangemi, very dangerous. You find when a driver feels that his life is at risk as he's trying to dart across the road, there's a problem. So for me as a mother, I'm able to sense that this is not right. This is not where I want my children to be, or this is not how I want my children to be exposed to these dangers. But the decongestion of Nairobi cannot be done from the ground. The decongestion of Nairobi has to be done from the air. You need to get on an helicopter and you need to see how people are moving. You know, there's the idea of tolls. Come on, this is what I want to say to the government. We are already overtaxed. Give me a break. We've already been funding the standard gauge railway. I mean, our taxes, we don't feel are being utilized properly. And then you want to put a toll. For me, I feel that that's not the solution. We have the fuel tax. We have all these taxes. No more taxes for the Kenyan people, all right? What we need to do is re-look at the road and see how we can ease the traffic on Uhuru Highway. Uhuru Highway needs a solution. All right.
Wouldn't one of the solutions be, and I put this challenge to you, to have an efficient public transport system? Because if you look at the habits that Nairobians have, especially those in the CBD, most of them literally go park their car and it stays there the whole day and leave in the evening, meaning they actually don't use that car throughout the day. What about working on the transport system, public transport system, so that it's efficient, it's reliable, it is one that anybody can use, get you into town and get home safely?
Okay, the public transport system needs to give you some sense of comfort. You see, if you look at the UK and how it works, almost everywhere there's a bus stop. All right. If you look at Nairobi, there are no places even to put some of these bus stops. And then the bus stops that we have, matatus, if you look at the matatus, they all line up on a road waiting to collect the commuters. In the UK, the bus system goes round, it hardly stops.
But isn't that what, as governor, you should be looking to implement and have us develop to that level?
Let me tell you something. If you're going to create one lane for public transport, all right, it's probably going to make the other lanes move faster, right? But it's not going to get you and I and the people that use cars to get into those public transport, all right? Because it's not going to happen. So the only other way that you can do this, is a lot of the traffic that is caused. It's not just caused by matatus. I get so ashamed of Kenyans who drive, they follow the matatu. So you find that the matatu is breaking the law, and then you've got so many other Kenyans breaking the law behind the matatu, trying to dart across. Sometimes I wonder, why do you think when you are overtaking and going on a pavement, all right, why do you think that you deserve to get ahead of all the other cars that are on the line? Now, this is where the traffic police again comes in. I think the traffic police has to do its job, and we need to find a way to withdraw licensing or to have a point system. But then the thing is, again, you need to be efficient and you need to have no corruption. The traffic systems in Nairobi, it's about the infrastructure, and then it's about the lane for the matatus and the bodas. Because for me, every time a boda darts in front or behind me, it's risky, not just for us, but for them as well. And then also there's another thing that causes traffic jam. If I knock your car, and then I'm waiting for the policeman, and the policeman cannot even get there. I think we all have insurance, all right? And we are all grown up, all right? And you pay the insurance, and I know you don't want to pay that excess premium, but at the end of the day, let's not cause traffic jams because we have a little scratch on our car.
And you're waiting for the police to come.
And you're waiting for the police to come, and everybody's held up. No.
Let's talk about garbage. How would you deal with garbage?
Garbage is a big issue. First of all, we've been talking about Dandora forever. It's a shame that when they signed up an agreement with Jacarossi, the public partnership did not work. But garbage requires us to sort it out from source. All right, it needs to be separated from source for it to be valuable. But then there's also a chance of turning that into energy. It's very, very expensive. I believe that the solutions of Kenya are not just with government, but with the Kenyan people themselves as an investment. And we have to find a way to pool resources to create these big institutions that can deal with recycling, garbage maintenance, control. But the thing is, it's a catch-22 right now. If I tell you don't litter, you tell me I'm not going to take my garbage home, so I'll throw it on the road because there's no dustbins. But then when we do put the dustbins, will you throw it in the dustbin? Will you put it in the right color dustbin? So this is an educational process, but it's doable. Everything is feasible, but we also need an attitude change.
Okay, do you ever see a point in time, if you became governor, a point in time where we actually recycle garbage? Because we have so much garbage in this country, and the minute we make it economically viable, somebody can actually get money for separating, like you said, they would probably do it.
Look, garbage is considered to be gold, okay? And it is gold only if it's not mixed up, all right? We're already recycling, but at a very low scale. I think some of these solutions have to be owned by government. Yeah. Private sector alone cannot do it, and there has to be concessions from government as well to private sector so that recycling becomes a way of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Looking at the current governor, what would you say he has done right?
You know what? First of all, I think the one thing that he hasn't done right is he hasn't made it very clear to the residents of Nairobi his role versus the central government role. All right, the other day I saw him on television donating medical equipment to a hospital through his wife, through the Coca-Cola Foundation, and that's very nice. But the question is, has he donated a lot of medical equipment through the county government itself? I don't see that. We've had doctor strikes. We've had there are lots of things that go wrong.
Lots of things have
happened. But the thing is, I was with Evans Kidero last week, and he's trying to get the government to pay his 62 billion. And he's saying that I cannot provide services without this money. So for me, at the end of the day, we need to have a situation where this money is given to the county government, but he also needs to account. I've met MCAs. Let me tell you what, I was with an MCA over the weekend for Ziwani, Starehe, and she said to me that they have given orders to a number of contractors, but the problem they're having is they've not paid their contractors. If an MCA is allocated 40 million for the year so that he can do development, and he gets to tender this, and then you don't pay the supplier, there is a problem. So I feel it's important that there has to be accountability. How much has the governor got from the central government? How much has he got from his own collection? What has he done with this money? When I go to the website, I don't see accountability. If I'm your governor, you will see accountability. Every single month, you will see this is what we've collected, this is what we've received from central government, this is what we've spent it on, these are the projects that we've spent it on. I will inspect every project because, you know, devolution does not mean you give the money and you don't look for accountability. And that's why you have the Auditor General. I think it's important that you go down and see some of these projects. Kitisuru Road, where I live, was done. For me, it's horrible. It is worse than when it was before it was done. It is dangerous. All right. Right now, down at the bottom of Kitisuru Road, you've got a bar that is just open. The road reserve has become part of the bar. We've written to the county government, nothing's happening. You've got schools being demolished in the middle of the night. Thank God, Kidero came to Calvary Covenant recently, and he saw that there is a problem, and he's pledged to try and make sure that they get their school recognized and a title issued. But you need a system. Once you see one problem, you solve that problem and you create a system. Over the next 10 months, I'm going to spend a lot of time at the county government. I'm going to shadow some of the ministers there. I'm sure they're going to say, oh, probably not, but I'm going to do it. I'm even intending to shadow Kidero because he said it's no walk in the park. All right. I've seen him. The governor gets to the office at 6 in the morning. He leaves probably at 7 at night. But the question is, you do not deliver services through meetings. You deliver services by getting on the ground and actually looking at what is done. I don't believe in meetings. I'm a 1-minute manager. We meet for a minute, we have a discussion, we get down and we do the job.
Get down and do the work.
And you've got to get your hands dirty. Kidero hasn't been felt on the ground, but now it's campaign time. He's gone. I saw he's given some tanks to people. I hope that people are clever enough to understand that you don't need a governor during election period. You need a governor that's going to be there throughout.
But one might have the same argument, Esther, and one might say that you've been quiet all this time, but now it's campaign period and boom, Esther has come out from...
Let me tell you something. I do my own charity. I sponsor a lot of children. I help a lot of families, and there are a lot of families in trouble. But I cannot, with my own resources, do development. Okay? Development has to come from within the government and within the resources that come from the people. So for me, once elections are over, you know, I was running for women rep. The person that was chosen was Shebesh. You don't want me going there and trying to overshadow her or do things, you know. I've kept in touch with the electorate. I have, you know, but I don't have to shout about it, okay? So right now, wanting to be governor, right, I think the most important thing is get the position and then use that position. But you know what is so sad? When I saw Priscilla Nyokabi giving the 2,000 shillings in the church donation and being rubbished about it, this is the problem. We have trained our electorate that the person who you're going to put in office has to do something. Everywhere I go right now, since I declared my candidature, there is such a demand for donations, for this, for that, for the other. It's not sustainable. All right. And the thing is, this is the way the voter is trained. The voter says, this is the period they come, let's get what we want. I want the voters of Nairobi to understand that when I become your governor, right, we will work together. The city is ours. The solutions are not mine alone. And that's why I'm reluctant to give a manifesto. I'm saying, let's discuss this manifesto. Tell me what your problems are, because only the wearer of the shoe knows
how hard it pinches.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
And now that you've brought about the manifesto, do you have one? I remember in one interview, Miguna referred to you as an opportunist. Your comments to that, and do you have a manifesto, a vision?
Okay, first of all, what Muguna says is neither here or there. He's just a loudmouth as far as I'm concerned, all right? And he thinks he's holier than thou, all right? So I leave Maguna out of my discussions. What I want to say is a manifesto is so easy to put together. All right, it is so easy. It's a copy, cut and paste affair. It's a few things that I feel I should give to the city of Nairobi. All right, we know we need water. We know we need low-cost housing. We know we need proper affordable markets. We know we need a solution for hawkers. We know we need traffic management. We need good roads. We need lighting. We need jobs. All right, we know all that. Okay, but the question is, when you get down on the ground, every ward, every area, 85 wards, all of them have their own issues. You've got widows. There's a place that I went, there's a lot of widows. You've got prostitution in certain areas that mothers want something done about it. You've got bars in areas that shouldn't be there. So these are all issues. So for me, every ward has its own issues. And once I've got all these issues, that becomes the manifesto. That becomes the deliverable, because every ward is different. Every need is different. Dandora has a different need from let's say, Westlands. So for me, just coming up with a blanket manifesto and putting it on a website and saying, this is what I'm going to do for you, sorry. I want to know what your needs are, and I'm going to take time getting those needs by touring the places. Miguna can't even walk the city of Nairobi. He cannot walk. He runs the campaigns through Runda and Jesco and Ange Live.
He's not here to defend himself.
Well, you brought him up.
Yeah, but we'll leave him at that. But the other question, of course, then would be, if you've not yet put the manifesto, and the manifesto here would be looked at as a vision, a forecast of what one should expect. It can even be one that we'll use to gauge and judge based on what you said. Have you delivered or not? If you don't have it in place now, that might leave the electorate wondering really what direction are we taking?
Can I tell you something? You, as a resident of Nairobi, okay, which ward do you live in? What's your ward name?
I live in Karen.
You live in Karen.
Yes.
Do you know who your MCA is?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. You elected him, but you have no idea who he is. When I decide to put everything together, you will know who are the MCAs that are there right now. You will know who are the MCAs that are aspiring.
How will you do that?
Because I'm coming up with County 47. All right? And in County 47, and this is why I'm taking time to put it together, in County 47, you're going to give me, as the governor of Nairobi, 87 ward reps, okay, MCAs, members of the county assembly. I want you to know who you're giving me to go and work with, who is in my army to come and solve your problems. So you have to know who your county ward is, ward member is. You have to also know what is the problems in your area, what is the capabilities, and what are the functions of the county government. Kenyans don't know. Kenyans don't even know who is supposed to provide this or the other. All right. So I want to put that civic education in place first before I tell you this is what I'm going to do for you. I have a manifesto. All right. But that is not the manifesto I want to put out just because I need to put it out. Did you read the manifesto for Jubilee or ODM? Did you read it? The full booklet?
No, of course not.
Nobody reads it. Why do I want to print a booklet, waste paper, and give it to people and say, this is my manifesto, which you'll never read? All right. The only thing that we know about Jubilee government, right, that we hear and hear and hear, is they were supposed to provide 1 million jobs. Have they? No. All right?
But the only reason why they have not, the only reason why we can gauge and say they have not provided is because they put it in place and said, according to our manifesto, we're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F,
right.
G. Without the manifesto, would not be able to look back and say, hey, Jubilee,
but nobody, you know, for me, you have the 10-point. For me, I'd rather have a 10-point agenda, which I get from the people, and then break it down to the wards, than to have one blanket booklet. Because everybody that I speak to has never, even right now online, you cannot even find Kidero's manifesto. You cannot find it. It's not even online. So what was his manifesto?
So in short, what you're saying, a manifesto is not important right now for you?
No, I don't think a manifesto is that important. I think a pledge is more important, and there will be a pledge for every ward based on the needs of every ward, and then there'll be a blanket pledge for Nairobi, which basically is low-cost housing, water in the steps, security, lighting in the areas, markets, jobs, infrastructure. You know, those are the basics. All right, health, you know, good health facilities, schools. You know, I spoke to Kidero because right now schools are devolved as well. And for me, as governor, I go to these community-based schools and they're still in Mabati. One of my biggest agendas would be to put some money into making all these schools, which have 300-400 children of Kenyans, benefit from the free education they get. Schools, teachers in these classrooms, food in the schools, electricity, laptops. Do you know how many community-based schools in this country have not got any laptops? These are the poorest of the poor. You know why? Because they don't have stone-walled classrooms. Why is that? Why are we discriminating against the poor? So that's the kind of governor I will be, where I make sure I'm actually going to be the governor for the poor people, not the rich people.
All right, let's just rephrase it and say, if you are elected as governor, what is it that the people of Nairobi and Kenya should expect in the next 5 years?
I think
to do more of a vision.
Services, security. Services, security, and jobs. Yeah.
Services, security, and jobs, so they can hold you to account 5 years from now. How do you intend to achieve that? Okay,
jobs can be, services basically is making sure that whatever the county government is mandated to do is provided. Okay, security is jobs. They're interrelated. You cannot have security if you have unemployment. Okay, and then also corruption. I mean, I'm going to tighten all these knobs that money is lost.
Actually, that was my next question, and it's to do with corruption, because it seems to be a cancer that we have as a country.
Look, we do have a culture of corruption. It is how we are wired. You know, if the big guy is doing it, why not I? And, you know, it's a headline every day. And, you know, when you have a buzzword, you leave that buzzword. And this is the problem. The buzzword in Kenya right now is corruption, all right? And it's said that the government has actually let that become the buzzword. It's the headline every day. And as we get through election, I hope we focus on issues. Corruption is about changing your attitude towards doing things, all right? And also ensuring that the services are so transparent. You know, if we want to deal with corruption, it starts from the top, and I'll tell you why. If you make it such that if I commit a traffic offense, I can pay my fine online on the spot through M-Pesa, all right, for that particular offense, overlapping, over speeding, whatever, right? Then we don't have a situation where the policeman is jumping into my car. Can you stop that, first of all? You know, the IG Boynet has to stop this idea. First of all, we've got cops running around, thugs running around with cop uniform, with little badges. How do I know you're a cop first? The cop actually stops you and tells you he wants to get into your car. The first thing he does is he grabs your license from you, and then he says he wants to get into your car. And I go, why should you get into my car? First of all, how do I even know you're a cop? Maybe you'll get into my car and you'll tell me to drive somewhere else. This is dangerous. So the thing is, if I've committed an offense, right, take a copy, take my car number, say on this highway, and send me a bill, all right? Or give me the bill, and then I have 24 hours to pay. In the UK, that's what happens. The traffic cameras pick you up. All these cameras that we've spent with Safaricom, so much money we spent on surveillance cameras, so much money with the Nairobi County government. Why are we still having cops taking us down for a few little offenses? You know, and I want to reach a point where I see a cop and I feel safe rather than I feel, oh my God, can I avoid him? You know, so we need to do a lot of PR, and we need to also change the way we do things. And this is about me changing how I relate to another person.
So now you've mentioned and said that corruption starts at the top. And if you are governor, then does that mean you'll still be waiting for the top to rectify before you can rectify?
Let me tell you, I will be the top.
I'm assuming the top here means executive.
Let me say something. The county government of Nairobi is a government in itself. All right, and it is a top in itself. All right, so you have the governor there. And for me, you need an open door policy. You need to have a 24-hour hotline. You need to have an online complaint system that you can check. You need to make sure that every employee is registered, and you can somehow verify that this employee is an employee. I mean, you're asking me about what Kidero has done right. Recently, I had some people come to my house to cut the water meter on a day before it was due. All right, and the guy actually, I wanted to verify, and there was a way to verify. So that's nice that he's using IT. There's also Ijiji Pay, which is fantastic. I pay my parking. Yes, but the problem, okay, that's all fantastic. What I want to know is how much is Ijiji Pay collecting on a daily basis, and what is it doing to enhance parking spaces? Because it is terrible that I spend probably 10, 15 minutes looking for parking and never finding parking. All right, so there are issues. And I think you can relate to these issues if you've been a resident of Nairobi, and also if you have the mind to think. And I'm that kind of person. I'm gifted in that way, where I see a problem, I think solution. All right, let me just give you this example. I mean, I saw that the country was dark. I straight away came up with the adopter light. But let me tell you something. That's not all I've done. Kenyans don't know this, but I brought the first reflective jacket for the police in this country. The first reflective jacket that the police wore in Kenya was given by me. The first dustbin that was put on the highway was given by me. All right? But the question is, every time I try to start a business, somebody richer, all right, and more influential and more connected and more corrupt was able to take over. So right now, I keep thinking, whatever solutions I want, all right, for this country, or whatever business opportunity that I see as a social entrepreneur, I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to do it with other Kenyans. All right. So watch this space. I'm going to pull us together. 1 in a million was an amazing initiative. I came up with that when I went into Kibera and I saw that lighting was not the only problem. I wanted to put 1 million Kenyans together, 1,000 shillings. But the government at that time thought, okay, this is to raise money for ODM. She's a member of ODM. Let's not register the foundation for 1 in a million. And that was sad because I think today would have been very far. I still feel that there were obstacles to doing things and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why tribe, why corruption thrives, why you need to know someone to get something done. And it's sad, and it's still that way. When I went to Kayole and I saw this school, this pre-unit that was demolished at 2 in the morning, what did I have to do? I had to take Bishop Nyatuga, take him to City Hall, meet with the Minister for Education there and Lens, and then meet with Kidero, take them to Kayole, get Kidero to say, I'm going to sort this problem out. So for me, that shows my leadership skills. I don't have to do the job myself, but I can get the job done. Even right now, I'm not the governor, but I've already solved the problem for one school, and I'm intending to solve the problem for many other schools. Yeah.
Okay. Now, in terms of political ambition, is governor possibly the best, or rather the top that you'd go for, or do you see yourself going even maybe for other political elective seats later in life?
Look, right now, I'd like the governor of Nairobi, and that's my focus. And if I become the governor of Nairobi, I want a 10-year period so that I can actually deliver change, proper visible change. You know, I'm so tired of the one-roomed house. All right. This is why we have a lot of incest in the families. This is why we have fathers raping children, daughters being raped by uncles and cousins and nephews. The first sexual experience of a child in an informal settlement will probably be a relative, and this is sad. So for me, 1-bedroom house for single men, single women, 2-bedroom house if you have a child, or 3-bedroom house if you have 2 or 3 children. Let me tell you something. Kenya has a lot of money.
But that's true.
Right?
I mean, looking at the billions that we're losing, yes, we do
No,
have a lot
looking at the billions that we're getting in the lottery, and I want to ask the government, all these lotteries that we are running every single day, all right? What are we doing with 30% of this lottery money is supposed to go into helping the poor? Where is that money? Who's controlling betting control? Where is that money going? Because I saw the initiative of stopping people from having alcohol. All right. When we went round and all these dens, you know, the drinking dens were illegal brew was being banned. Okay, and all the dens were being destroyed. For me, what was happening is here you have a situation where you're stopping all these illegal brew, but you're not dealing with the person who you're not dealing with the root cause. Is basically poverty and unemployment, and then the drug addiction. Let me tell you, when you're a drug addict, you're sick. All right, you are overwhelmed by your addiction, and you need to have a drug rehabilitation centers. So if we were actually doing something with betting control and the money that they're getting, the 30%, right, we should have been putting drug rehabilitation centers. Once we put these drug rehabilitation centers, we're creating jobs as well for Kenyans who have trained in counseling, who have trained. So for me, the solutions for unemployment are in the solutions to our problems, our social problems. But what are we doing? We're stealing everywhere. You know, tell me what betting control is doing. Show me, not just one photo up where we give 10,000 to this and 10,000 to that. Come on, it should be billions.
Going to the poor.
Going to the poor.
Good cause. Yeah. All right, as we wind up, I see time is not on our side. Basically, how do you think Jubilee government has performed so far?
I think they have done, I mean, if I have to give them a score out of 10, I would say 6.
Why? What is it that they have done that would get...
I mean, let me tell you something. Every single place that I go, I see infrastructure. All right? And infrastructure is fantastic. Though I would wish that the infrastructure would have been also in low-cost housing. I wish the infrastructure would have been in markets. And I've seen highways being lit. They've spent billions lighting up. So for me, I'm happy that everybody understands the importance of lighting. I've seen there was this whole funding of medical equipment, cancer. The NHIF is fantastic because you now can use your NHIF card, the maternity, the free maternity. There's a lot of things that they've done well.
So give them a strong
the railway is going to be brilliant.
Yes,
you know, I think that's fantastic. It took a bold step to say we're going to text you and we're going to do this. You know, I think in that respect they've done fantastic. You know,
what accounts for the fall? Apart from corruption, of course, which
corruption in our headlines every day, and the fact that they're arrogant about it rather than actually admitting, yes, there is a fault and dealing with it, okay? I also feel that they have actually been an impediment to devolution, because devolution requires that you empower the devolved governments, and they have been trying as central government to still control quite a lot, like medical equipments and not funding the county governments on time, like not paying the Nairobi County government the 60 billion that they owe. And then also, I think I'm happy that they came together as to form one party as Jubilee, and I feel that that's necessary. In Kenya, we need strong parties that embrace everybody, but I hope that the idea is not to kill democracy, all right, by controlling everyone. I didn't like when the president said that join us and we will have jobs for everyone. You cannot employ everyone. You don't have the money to employ everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we wind up, I would like to just see the Twitter responses that are coming through. And maybe as it's coming through, also now that Harambee Democratic Party has not registered, are you going to join Jubilee?
No, definitely
not. You're not joining Jubilee. No. All right. Today, our POI, Esther Passaris, do you think she has what it takes to be governor of Nairobi? And that's the result so far. 40% saying yes, and 53% of you saying no. We have a 7% who are saying I don't know. But of course, the United States probably taught us a lesson on polls.
Well, I mean, look, first of all, thank you for everyone who said yes. I am actually very happy with this. It's growing in numbers. And that's fantastic. I have a lot of work to do to convince the people that I can be your governor. And I just want Nairobians to be open-minded, to vote without tribalism. You know, if nothing else, you know, you go to church every Sunday and you're a child of God, and we all are children of God, and God knows no tribe, you know. So I would like to ask Kenyans that when you vote with an inner conscience, a deep conscience. Because if leadership comes from God and God is love, then he doesn't want you to choose one tribe over another. And forget about these waves, you know. I mean, you've had the PNU wave, you've had the TNA wave, you've had the CORD wave, the ODM wave, now you might have the Super Alliance wave. Parties are just vehicles, all right? Look at the people and then vote according to who you think can do the job right. It is really sad that one has to join a party so that they can get the numbers. And you know, I'm quarter Kikuyu, and this is what I want to say to my fellow Kikuyus. You know, we are the ones who can break the tribalism that we have helped create, all right? I mean, it is terrible that one has to feel that I have to be part of this movement so that I can be elected. And I feel that is wrong. I want the Kikuyus to understand one thing, that we are all Kenyans, all right? We're all Kenyans.
All right,
and
Esther,
let's not vote on tribe, you know, and the Luo's the same, and the Kisii is the same. Let's vote people that we believe can deliver for this country, because ultimately, God knows no tribe.
Esther,
and if
we'll
you believe, that's
there.
how you have to vote.
Thank you very much for being our person of interest this morning. Definitely the response on Twitter speaks, and we shall continue reading that. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. And there you go. You probably have a clearer picture. If you were voting, you still can vote. We'll still look at those results at the end of the show, whether you think Esther Passaris has got what it takes to be your governor in Nairobi. Now, we'll have to wind it up right there. And those of us on on KTN Home Life and Style begins now. But those of us on KTN News, we still have some updates coming up. Then later on, we'll be talking about your money. And, well, do stay with us. I'll give you details of that as we go along.
This is KTN News.